This is Kaliyuga, man. This is some weird shit that was predicted by the Bhagavad Gita. This is
Gudur
the end of
Damarang,
times.
Battle of the Gods,
Yeah.
Ragnarok. Tell me.
In India, ancient India, they believe this, is that the humanity moves in cycles, and the cycles are called the Yugas. And what we are now is in a stage called Kaliyuga, and Kaliyuga is like the worst. We're in this area, this age of materialism and horrible, confusing war that makes no sense, completely nonsensical ideology. We are in literally a movie. This is like a movie scenario. It's so stupid the way we're living our lives that it almost seems fake.
Woo! Welcome to the service, y'all. Welcome to the service. Today we're going to be talking about the ancient Hindu prophecy of Kaliyuga. It's a very powerful prophecy made by the Hindus over thousands of years ago. And if you're feeling a squeeze right now in life, if you're looking around the world and you're thinking the suffering level's high, war, famine, pestilence, mortgage prices, inflation, inflammation. If you're feeling that right now, well then, I hate to toot my own horn, but the Hindu predicted all of these things, prophesied them in this ancient theory of Kaliyuga. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And by the time you get to the end, the revelation that the Hindus provide on Kaliyuga and how to maneuver it is so powerful, but it's very paradoxical. It's not what you expect. By the time you get to the end of this video, you're going to have a little inside track, inside info, a little cheat code, if you will, a little cheat code on the simulation of life. And many Hindus in the community, I told them about this. I told them I was making this video, and they said, "Don't do it, brother. Don't tell them. Don't tell the white man our secrets." But I said, you know what? It's channeling in, and the people got to know. All right, so make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, support this digital ashram. I don't care if the Hindu said don't tell everyone. I'm telling the whole community, y'all. People need to know about this. And that's the kind of work that you'll be supporting if you go ahead, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're giving away 100,000 free subscribes right now. We're at 40,000. Let's get it to 100,000. Let's get that plaque for the community, shall we? So a little backstory on Kaliyuga. The Hindus have a theory that this whole life, this whole cosmos, the whole universe, everything, it is one big simulation, a lila. They call it the lila. And lila means like a play. The whole system is built in such a manner that everyone it's a multiplayer, self-generated, automatically generated movie that each of us is living in. And when you're living at your best, when you're living in karma yoga, and you're doing your best, and you're killing it, and you're in the flow state, when you're doing that, you're like a main player character. What some Hindus would call a Hare Krishna in the Leela. Or what Christians call, they would say you're living with Christ consciousness. But it's basically like when you're living at your best, you're the main character, hero of the story, you're pushing it forward, you're proactive, you're getting it done, and like I said, it's a joyful productivity, a joyful flow state. And you don't have to be like anything fancy like me, you know what I mean? You can just be an accountant and still be the main player character. And then if you're not doing well, if you're not in the game, in the moment, present, pushing it forward, the main driving force of it, then you're kind of like an NPC character. And then you can just become kind of like a side character in other people's movies. But that's not the way to a happy life. The way to a happy life is to be a Hare Krishna in the Leela, as they say. So this life is a simulation. Now you might say, okay, fine, this life is a simulation. Why the suffering? Why is it so hard? Basically, what the Hindu would say to you, what the Hindus would say, is that this is a simulation, but it's a simulation where you came to play. And you want a game that's equivalent to your spiritual capacities. And right now, our spiritual capacities are at their highest, and so the game has to be at that difficulty level. Now, there's been 4 yugas, 4 time periods, and this is the 4th one. And it kind of tracks onto a movie storyline. So let's just say you got an action movie. The first yuga of Hinduism is like the first act of the movie, and this was thousands of years ago. This is actually hundreds of thousands of years ago. Maybe when the universe first started, maybe when the planet first started. But back then, nobody was lying. Everyone told the truth. It was basically on easy mode. It was the early in the movie. Nothing crazy is happening yet. but the roots of the story are taking place. Then you get into the second act. That's like the second Yuga in Hinduism, in the Yugas. And that act, it gets a little more difficult. There's there's some training going on. There's some small missions going on. Then it goes into the third Yug. And that one, there's war and fighting and meat eating and lying and killing. But there was still like an honor code. That's the third Yuga. There was still like an honor code. People were still, people were reasonable. Torture probably didn't happen yet. They were still kind of like, okay, we're in a war. If we kill you, we kill you. If we catch you, we'll be nice to you. We'll send you back. Then Kaliyuga comes in, and it all ramps up. So right now, we're in the final act of it. And what happens in the final act, or as you're approaching the final act, what happens and what's supposed to happen in a movie, the hardships now have to be so hard that some part of you has to die. So as the movie goes on, the stakes get bigger and bigger and bigger, things get more difficult, and then it reaches a difficulty level where the only way to win, the only way to satisfy the mission is you yourself, some part of you, or maybe yourself, have to die so that you can be resurrected. One step closer to God. One step closer to God. And that's how movies are written too. And listen, I'm a Canadian Screen Award winner. Okay, so I've been taught this in many classes, screenwriting classes, that's how you're supposed to write movies. And what the Hindu would say, and maybe what the Christian would say, is that the reason why movies are like that is because we're matching the natural patterns of life. It's like the movie feels good to us because we're already in a movie like that, and then when we watch a movie, it's giving us like a little practice, and it matches up with our experience of how things go, so it's relatable to us, it makes sense to us. That's why those movies become hits. Now, the suffering is particularly high. This is another thing that I've heard, I think Alan Watts talk about, where he says, this is a game, you came to play, we all came to play. You know what I mean? Play hard, go hard in this. And what he says about this simulation theory, the Leela theory, is that if you went to see a play or went to see a movie, if it looked like the good guy was going to win right from the beginning, then it's a boring movie. If you go to a movie and the good guy and the bad guy are equals, they're 50-50, anyone could win, it's okay. It's honestly kind of boring. It's not going to hit at the box office. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a hit. It's okay. It's okay, maybe a straight to DVD, straight to streaming, whatever. It's fine. You can make that movie. But if you want it to be a banger, then it's got to look like the hero's not going to win. It's got to look like, how's he going to do this? Like the bad guy has all the power and the good guy, what can be done? And that's where you have to drive them. You have to raise the stakes so that you can drive that character to that point of, now I must sacrifice so that I can be resurrected. This is a great, actually, example of life in Kaliyuga, and I'm going to play this video for you guys right now, because I found that this was very Kaliyugistic, so let's take a look at it.
So a fig is a syconium, meaning its flowers are all pointing inwards, hidden inside there. How are they pollinated? They're pollinated by a fig wasp. What the wasp wants to do is get inside a male fig, because that's a nice place to lay your eggs. It's safe in there. The crazy thing is, you've got this tiny hole, and that's what the pregnant female fig wasp climbs through. But it's so small, the wasp loses bits of its body as it kind of shimmies through there. Some of its wings go, its antenna, it lays its eggs, and then it's trapped. It can't get out again, so it dies in there. The eggs hatch. The first thing they do is mate with each other. So the female fig wasps are pregnant before they've even left the fig that they were born in. The male wasps then dig a hole out of the fig for the females to get out of. Once they've done that, they die. The pregnant females, now covered in pollen, fly off to find another fig.
In earlier times, in Satyug, the earlier Yugas, one of the earlier Yugas, the hole was probably bigger. The female wasp probably just walk in, lay the eggs, might not even eat the fruit, might just be like, I'm not hungry, fly out, go see your boyfriend, maybe get pregnant again, I don't know. Maybe comes home, sees that the boys aren't awake yet, leaves for a couple more hours, maybe, hangs out, flies around, boys get the girls pregnant. The mom doesn't want to walk in on that, the kid's doing it. So, maybe waits for that to be done. Mom comes back. Okay, you're pregnant. Okay, let's go get you a fig. Come on. Come on, baby. Let's go. Oh, you're beautiful, baby. Look at you. You're so cute. Just like me. Takes him out. Finds another wasp. Maybe they go to another fig. The hole's too small. She says, no, baby. Let's get you a nice big hole. Let's get you a nice big hole to go through. Easy peasy, right? That's in previous times. Now, what Kaliyuga does is it squeezes the tension on you. It squeezes you. So that hole is squeezed. Now, what's the benefit of that? Well, the benefit now is that this entire mission has become life and death. When the wasp goes in, it's losing its wings, it's losing its legs. When it gets in and it tastes that sweet nectar of the fruit inside, because this is a terrible journey to go through, to lose your arms and legs to get through. The wasp gets through. When the wasp first tastes that sweet nectar of the fruit, it just there's an immediate, just a kind of a transcendence there, and probably in that ecstasy of like my food, because all that suffering, then the joy comes in. It's so joyful. The babies are born, probably in that ecstasy. So really, the whole life of the mom became a sacrifice for the kids. So it's a higher suffering, but more poetic. It's quite poetic, this little game inside the simulation. But in this way, this mother wasp is a main player character. They're going for it. There are some great ups and downs in there. You know what I mean? When it gets through and tastes that juice, like I said, it's one with God right there. It's ready to go back. Game over. Did my job. Bing, bang, boom. The other wasp would have got maybe depressed or something. Okay, so now you're thinking, all right, it's a great suffering. It's really sad. It's a great suffering. Sure, got it. Where's the techniques? Where's the tactics? How do I manage this? Okay, well, for this, the Hindus have also given some great clues on this. And in order to retrieve those clues, we're going to look at two major gods from the Hindu canon, Ram and Krishna. And these are both incarnations of another god, Vishnu. So they're both actually avatars or reincarnations of the same main god, Vishnu. But their lives are very different. And most importantly for our discussion today, one of them is born in one of the earlier, Ram is born in the early, kind of on easy mode, if we're being honest. And then Krishna is born closest to us. He actually blows a shell at one point, and when he blew that shell, he started Kaliyuga. So he ended off the last era, and he's actually the guy who kickstarted Kaliyuga. The Kaliyuga god is not here yet. Kaliyuga. The Kaliyuga god is not here yet. He could be born any minute. He could be alive right now. Could be a baby. I don't know. But there's another reincarnation coming now. Some people say that it's Buddha. Some Hindus actually believe that Buddha is the next incarnation. But for today's discussion, we're going to stick to Ram Krishna. Okay, so these are the major things you have to know. Like I said, Ram's born in the earlier, nicer age, and then Krishna is the one closest to us. So that's where we're going to get the tips. Okay, so first major difference. Ram, very righteous, very pious, strict, followed the rules. That was his major thing. He really followed the rules. And even if the rules weren't there, he even went above and beyond to follow rules. For example, because his dad was also a king, and he was going to be the next king, he was supposed to be the heir to the kingdom from his dad. And his dad was a king, and his dad had 3 wives, and it caused a lot of drama, caused a lot of problems. You can imagine. So Ram, he takes a vow. He's the king. He's going to be the king, and he's already the king's son. But he takes a vow of being a one-wife celibate. One-wife only celibate. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a king doing that? You'd say, that's too much. Why? But he makes the promise. Now, compare that to Hare Krishna. And Krishna actually had a lot of girlfriends. Ram was always practicing archery, working on his skills as a warrior, very focused, very much getting prepared to be the king, focusing on his skills, his duties. Krishna, he's dancing, he's playing the flute. And like I said, some people say he had 16,000 girlfriends, some people say it's 60,000 girlfriends. I remember when I was a kid, I was in some Hindu class. The woman was teaching us about Krishna. She was just trying to brush over it, he had 16,000 very good female friends that he played and danced with. That's what she was trying to teach it like that. She was trying to teach it like that in the class. And me and this other guy, troublemakers, we were like, okay, so these 16,000 friends, what's going on there? They're girlfriends or they're girls who are friends? And she's trying to tell us it's girls who are friends. Don't get any ideas. And but we were like, I heard it was girlfriends, and she got so mad, and she made us wait there after the class, and then my mom came, and she told my mom what we had said, that like, oh, they're his girlfriends, like, you know, it's like girlfriend, and my mom's like, what stupid, what kind of thinking is stupid? Like, she's so mad that we even implied it. But I remember later we knew this guy who was cheating on his wife, and apparently this is common in India. When you cheat on your wife and people get mad at you, they say, I am like a Hare Krishna. I am following the teachings of Hare Krishna. So I know that he was, you know, sexually active with the ladies. It is what it is. Okay, so let's go back here. Ram, his whole story, the main crux of his story, he gets married to his one wife, Promise. She gets kidnapped. So he has to go on a mission to get her, and he kills all these demons, defeats the king who kidnapped his wife, brings her back. Then once he brings her back home, this question comes up of like, what if she, you know, she was with that guy for a year, what if something happened? So then these guys have to test her virginal purity, so they make her walk through a fire. She survives the fire, because nothing happened, I guess, with her and the king. She survives the fire, but then people in the kingdom are basically saying, this guy got cucked. His wife is 100%, you know, he's just letting his wife live in the house, and she must have done something. And because people were talking like that in the kingdom, Ram actually kicks his wife. He sends his wife off to go live in the forest by herself, and just doesn't see her again for like 20 years. So his life was just all duty, work, you know, practice. That's it. Then you got Krishna over here. He has a very romantic story for how he got married. So the way Krishna gets married is he receives a letter from a woman who says that she's being kidnapped by a king. So Krishna puts a team together. They go on a little side mission, and they know that the king with the kidnapped his wife, they're traveling somewhere, and Krishna knows that it's going to be a small group, so he puts a little team together, comes in, gets the guy, rescues the woman, and then, before anyone can say anything, marries her, because he's a romantic. And the fact that he married her and he didn't even do a virginity test, this is a revolt and a revolution against the orthodoxy of the time. He's letting the people know, I don't care what you think, I love her, and that's it. This is the counterintuitive nature of this insight, is that you would think that Kaliyuga means more suffering means, you know, you do more work, you get out of suffering. That's not the system. That's not the system. Now, it's moving into a different type of difficulty. Following the rules now, you're just going to end up a slave. Now you have to be rebellious. You have to be revolutionary. And romantic. And artistic. Creative. Loving. Dancingly doing the work. The darkness of Kaliyuga can only be defeated, can only be pierced through with the light of love. And what happens when you are like a Hare Krishna in the Leela, dancing, making art, being a romantic, living in rebellion, being a revolutionary the way he is? Then what happens is the artistic practices, like a meditation, they shut off the mind. And when you shut off the mind, you automatically get charged up with that source energy. And once you're filled up with it, the energy just bursts out of you. And then you're not doing the work, God's doing the work. Dame. You don't have to do the work. You can't even do it. I mean, the work level, the workload difficulty right now, it's so high that you couldn't even do it if you tried. The only option you have now is to let go and let God do it. That's the system. This is karma yoga. Or in Taoist philosophy, they call it Wei Wu Wei. But this is what all non-dual spiritual practices are trying to get you to. They want you to be a Hare Krishna in the Leela, dancing in life, joyfully destroying your enemies. Lovingly, joyfully. Thanks for watching episode 2 of my laziness vlog, The Lazy Way. If that resonated with you, in the next couple of days when you sleep at night, what'll happen is at night, it'll integrate into your thinking. And then in the next couple of days, you'll have these insights of like, oh yes, I'm not being like a Hare Krishna. I'm being, I'm working too hard for Kaliyuga. And that's how these insights work. That's how the laziness vlog works. Some of you want a step-by-step. It's not going to be a step-by-step on all these. Some of these are just going to be like you get an insight and the wisdom takes a couple of nights of sleeping actually to integrate. And then maybe in a couple of days, watch it again. And then when you watch it again, then it will fully integrate. And your laziness, a small part of it, will be transcended. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, support this digital ashram. This is a beautiful ashram that we are building, a YouTube ashram. And the insights that you're going to get out of this place are going to be very powerful. So again, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.